All right, we're kind of having a good time here today as we're batch recording a few episodes of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Today's episode actually number 213, and we're going to talk about the serve. I guess we could talk about the topspin serve. It doesn't matter. I guess any kind of serve. And before we get to let's wait to talk about the free private coaching call at the end, because this thing is top of mind. And what? I know, I'm just rambling today. I'm having one of those ramble days. Remember the old American, the AMC Rambler car? That thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
What a piece of work that thing was.
Yeah.
I had one once. I was just like I was dead broke, like in the '70s, and trying to teach a few lessons on private courts. I really didn't know what I was teaching. I probably was saying the term that we're to talk about today.
Yeah.
You know, my students would get glassy eyed and look at me like, "What?
Yeah.
What?" Anyway, I had this Rambler. I probably bought for like $50 off some guy. You know, of course, the guy didn't tell me that sometimes the accelerator got stuck on the floor.
Oops. Information that would have been helpful yesterday.
A little disclosure, dude. No wonder you're selling it for $50. So
right.
that was interesting.
I don't know. So that was it just seemed, doomed from the start, right? The name Rambler and the car itself, they seemed like the term and the model of the car just didn't quite fit. Like there's.
That's right.
Well,
yeah, it came with no steering wheel. It was just rambling around all by itself.
Yeah,
just wherever
rambling.
It wants to go.
Just rambling. Just like Aunt Edna at Christmas time. She's just rambling.
That's right. I'll take another. Anyway. Jeff, could you bring me another eggnog there, my little nephew?
Yeah, another eggnog with extra.
Okay, let's enough of this silliness. Well, I'm going to tee you up here with a little silly thing here. One thing in the serve that I would say the most common misunderstood term that's thrown out there by every teaching pro in the land around the globe is you got to pronate. You got to pronate this thing up there, and so we were talking about how we wanted to talk about this today. And I asked you. I said, well, what if it's not actually pronate? What if it's supinate? Right? Because I still don't after almost 5-6 decades of playing tennis. I don't know what pronate means up on top, right? I mean, I kind of get what everyone's trying to say, but I know what pronate means in terms of, the way my foot lands, or supinate. But seriously, Jeff, what if really on top we're not supposed to pronate, we're supposed to supinate up there? What do you think?
So
it's like
something like that?
Yeah, it's an inverted pronation thing.
Like, I think that's like I don't know. I think it's a Jennifer Lopez dance move there with the hand. It kind of, I think it's a great term. It's a fun term to banty around, and there's lots of videos on YouTube about, what it is. There's also videos about you really don't pronate, you don't want to pronate. So you can, depending on what your search is, you can end up with lots of information that is just a smorgasbord of contrary and contradicting viewpoints. So let's not even try to define it. I tend to work into, your body wants to move kinetically in a certain way. And when you put it into a position, it wants to get out of that position. And your body wants to do it in a logical way that wants to make that happen. It really comes down to us mentally. We mentally get in the way of our body just wanting to function the way it works, just comfortably moving from point A to point B. I know this is going to sound like a silly analogy, but when you walk up to a door and just reach out, turn the doorknob and walk through, or open it up toward yourself, you're not thinking about how to do it, but you're doing it quite comfortably. It's the way you work, the way we move naturally. And so when it comes to serving, it's really critical that we can get the student into a few positions that the body wants to work a certain way. And the biggest hurdle, I feel, this is my opinion, the biggest hurdle in getting somebody to kind of let go of their preconceived notion about what a serve should look like. And so they're already anticipating something. They're afraid they're not going to make clean contact with the ball. They're afraid the ball's not going to go in the box. They're afraid it's not going to go over the net. So you've got all these preconditions that the ego doesn't want to fail in any of them. And so for me, the ego is the biggest hurdle to getting someone to actually start to relax and be able to deliver, let's say, somewhat of a kinetically sound motion that produces the ball that goes in the court. Somebody will not stand there. What happens is they become more focused on wanting the ball to land in the box. So you can sit there, and I know you've done this, Brent, been there with a student that kind of goes through the right motion, and then right at the end, you can see them literally manually turn the hand out and poke the ball in the box, because in their mind, that's the goal. And so you have to kind of remove that constraint out of the situation sometimes. You got to get the box out of the deal. So I'll move students up to within a few feet of the net and can we just do the motion? Because now the net's not an issue. There's no box. There's no this, or serve sideways into the fence, And just right. I need a motion to start working for them to be more focused on the feel than the ball going in the box.
Right.
So just as a front end. So again, I use the term, but I don't use the term with everybody.
Yeah.
And even with our good friend Erica Smith. Shout out to Erica. Hope you're doing your PT, girl.
She is.
Because we got some tournaments to win next year, girl.
Yeah.
And so with her, and she's obviously seasoned, Division I college ball, pro ball, 22 gold balls under her belt, blah, blah, blah. Girl knows how to serve, and she knows how to hit a tennis ball, right? So the pronation part of it for her when we were working on the serve wasn't about necessarily pronation. It was about her understanding what's the feel in her, what is the feel in her hand when we get to that point in the serve. And so for her, the term that really kind of set her off on the right path was Erica, I want you to feel like your hand is almost sloppy, that the racket feels sloppy in your hand when we start to get to that point in the motion. And for her, that resonated with her, and all of a sudden we started making some really good progress with the whole motion.
Yeah.
When she understood how soft that feel had to be for the whole motion.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is when you throw a technical word or jargon out there, and pronation is definitely one of those words, is that the players think, well, I need to manipulate what's happening just before contact, or I need to manipulate what's happening with the racket in my hand, my arm, and my body, what's happening at contact. And so what happens is everyone gets a little bit too strong on the grip. They bring this grip tension because they are thinking, well, here's what I have to do, as opposed to it's a natural thing if you don't get too tight on the grip, if you don't try to manipulate it. In your words, is just be sloppy up there. Just let it kind of go. And I know that just letting it go and being relaxed and being sloppy up on top is like, everyone's heard it. But you're right. The ego gets in the way in terms of, well, wait a minute, man, I don't want to hit this ball due right to the fence, right? I actually want it to go in the box over there. I don't want to look like an idiot. Well, you actually gave the best way to figure this thing out is to not have a target, not to use the service box as the end result. Was it right or was it wrong? Did you pronate by did the ball go in the box? Well, you could do this death grip thing and somehow perfectly dumb luck timing, it goes over the net inside the lines of the service box, and you go, well, I guess I pronated. Well, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
So, what I do more is I do start with first of all exactly what you said is trying to help get the feel, which is we don't have a target in mind, and all we're trying to do is see can you relax your hand in the grip, and when it comes up and starts to address the ball, can you just keep that relaxed feel, and
Right.
and look, I mean, if they don't have a ball in their hand and they go through the motion, how many times do they naturally pronate? Just about every freaking time, you know?
Just about every time.
Yeah. So that's where you
Yeah.
develop the feel is the rehearsing, and you develop the feel with not having a target,
Right.
which is and so anyway, so what you're saying is it wouldn't clear up the term pronate if we use the term supinate. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Probably not.
Well, I'm just wondering.
You know,
What if you
I
ask
think
someone to supinate?
the next,
Would that
go
be
ahead.
actually coming around and hitting the ball back at you? Would that?
Could be, yeah. Because I think if you're going to use the pronate, supinate methodology, then you may
Yes.
want to start procrastinating your practice session because you're probably not going to be
Well,
successful.
look, I think we may have come up with a new serve is where you actually don't,
Yeah,
you don't face over the net. You actually turn around, you face the back fence, and then
yeah.
you
Which will
supinate back
totally,
over your shoulder.
it'll totally throw your opponent off. What's he doing?
Yes.
Oh,
God, he's
serves
got
in.
the supination serve.
That's
I've
it.
heard about that thing. You know.
That's right. He must be a student of gold ball hunting.
That's maybe that's our niche right there, the
Oh God.
supination serve. All right, guys. Well, listen. So that's the deal on pronation. Stop thinking about it. Just
Yeah.
just make it natural. Lighten up
I'm
the
going to add
grip
this.
too.
I'm going to add this one thing to it too, and that is this: is that sometimes too, it's easy because we use the term a lot. You know, can you be soft in the hand? Can you be relaxed? And relaxed is probably the most commonly used term. You hear it. You know, it's being uttered. You know, millions of times a day by pros everywhere, and people trying to help their friends serve. You got to relax more, Bob. You got to relax more. You know, maybe Bob doesn't know how to relax, and maybe Sally has no idea what that actually means in terms of a service motion. You
All
know,
right.
maybe this guy's kind of uptight. You know, he's kind of you know he's a little uptight all the time, and so are we asking the student to do something that they have really no reference point for? And so, are you willing as the pro to get in there and now really you got to dive deep on this and can you find some other ways to get them to understand what it actually means to move athletically but in a softer state? I don't even want to use the term relaxed because again it's a term that the person may not actually be relevant to them. They can't even identify what that is. So anyway, just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when I'm teaching the groundies is I want them to feel what are sort of the three different grip tensions in terms of I'm gonna hit you or I'm gonna underhand feed you a ball, and I want you to get the death grip. I want you to feel what the death grip is, and then
Right.
I'm gonna go, all right, now I'm gonna underhand feed you a ball, and let's see, can you actually almost let the racket sort of come out of your hand? So you have now kind of the two extremes. You got the death grip, and you got this thing's about to come out of my hand. And we're not talking about results. And I say, well, let's see if we can find something a little bit in between there. So you have to kind of work through with this thing up on top of the serve is try to feel different grip tensions up there, and just sense what's happening with your hand. And
Right.
I'm willing to bet that the tighter you hold the racket as you address the ball, the less you'll be doing this thing called pronating. And
Right.
so
Right.
anyway, I don't know where it was. Maybe it was Barry McKay when sort of one of the things he thought we should do is I was an assistant for Barry McKay way back when, and he had some old rackets. He says, "Yeah, just teach these kids how to throw this old racket over the fence." So, I mean, they were throwing rackets all over the place. But that's kind of the feeling in terms of, and Barry McKay, the big bear, had one big boy serve. I mean, that guy could bring it. And his thing was, you cannot have grip tension on that racket handle. So, all right, guys. Well, listen again. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting podcast, and Jeff and I, we're still offering a 10 to 12 to 15 minute coaching call, depending on the verbosity. Which one is it? Is it even a word? Just how much blah, blah, blah do we have going that day? Anyway, we want to get you on a free private coaching call, the three of us. It's a conference call, phone call, and we want you to bring that one thing in your game right now that you think is holding you back from getting the result you want. We actually want to take you through a little exercise to help you pinpoint that one thing. And then once you do, we'll give you an idea of how to get or put you on the path so you start getting that result that you want. Goldballhunting.com. Drop in your first name and your email address. Click the button. You get access to our online calendar scheduler. Jeff, what do we want the fine folks to do right now?
Like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below. When you go down below, you might have to pronate to press the button.
So you're not coming under. You're not supinating
under. You might want to go over the top.
I get it. Very cool. Guys, get out there today. Stop the pronation. Don't even supinate. Help someone else. Help someone else stop saying the word pronate.
That's right.
Jeff, let's do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.